Have you ever looked into the eyes of a living dead? He is breathing, he is working, he is joking. But inside, silence. That's how the soul dies. Not after death, right here, among Zoom calls, deadlines, likes, and jokes in stories. You're doing everything right, but inside, it's empty. We haven't lost our soul. We forgot it, turned off, rented out. Not because they are evil, because it's easier to survive that way. Feeling painful. Choosing is scary. Living is vulnerable. What is a soul without mysticism? The soul is not energy or substance. It is your architecture of meaning, what remains when you remove roles, statuses, and habits. The soul is the ability to stay human where it is more advantageous to be a function. This is not religion. It is ethics under pressure. What do you choose when no one is watching? How do you hold pain when there are no words? Are you capable of not betraying, even if it is beneficial? You are not born with a soul. You build it. Maybe in childhood you were given a seed of it, like a seed. But whether something grows from it depends on you. Every no to convenient evil is training. Every yes to good is architecture. The soul is not a gift, it is a muscle, and it grows when you go against automation, against the desire to please, against the fear of being inconvenient. When something is wrong with your soul, you feel it, but not right away. First, a slight deafness, then a loss of color, then indifference, symptoms of a dying soul. Emotions become background noise. Everything seems normal, but as if it's not your life. You follow the plan, but feel you're not really in it. You are present, but not truly living. You smile, but don't believe in yourself. How does the soul die? With micro-deaths, not once, many times. When you say yes, even though inside, no. When you remain silent, even though you should have spoken. When you betray, not someone else, but yourself. When you no longer believe, but keep playing. Can I return? Yes. That is exactly where hope lies. The soul is not eternal, but it can be restored. It doesn't return through a ritual, but through a choice. Slow down. Confess. Don't run away. Rebirth begins with a pause. From the moment you decide not to get distracted, not to pretend, not to run, just be there in that silence, your soul is waiting for you. Genuine rebirth begins with loss, not of the body, but of meaning. Nothing happened outside. You went to work, drank coffee, sent emails, but inside, someone important died. The I that believed love was forever has died. The I that hoped everything would be fair has died. The I that believed in a parent, a friend, a teacher has died. And you are alive, but different. Something has fallen away. Something will not return. Trauma is not just pain. It is the death of your old self. Trauma does not scream. It often stays silent. It becomes your reaction to freeze, your inability to feel joy, your habit of avoiding intimacy. You do not choose how trauma rewrites you, but you can choose whether to remain its prisoner. Rebirth begins when you refuse to be an eternal hostage to old pain, not rejecting it, but going through it. Death, divorce, breakup, loss of meaning, emigration, loss of faith, burnout. All these states are not the end. They are initiation, but culture does not teach us to die. It suggests distraction, to calm down, to be productive. But the soul needs something else. A space of silence, the right to be weak, the possibility to fall apart. Time to gather oneself anew. The death of the old self is inevitable, but what you do about it, that's the main choice. You can run away. Into control, into work, into information overload, into a new self, without having lived through the loss. Or you can stop, not to get stuck, but to see what remains. What inside you is still alive. What is worth taking with you into the next self. You are not a single person. You are a whole line of versions that were born and died. You were a child who believed everyone, a teenager who believed no one, a young person who believed in themselves, and those who stopped believing altogether, and you're still here. You are the one who survived. Micro-deaths are normal, but stagnation is not. To die and be reborn is a sign of being alive. To freeze in one version forever is true death. That's why a crisis is not a mistake in the path. It's part of it. It comes so you can rebuild your soul, not as a fragile glass structure, but as a living system, feeling vulnerable, strong. Rebirth begins not with strength, but with the acknowledgement of weakness. You are not obliged to be whole, but you are obliged to be honest. If you are crying, that is already the beginning of rebirth. If you have fallen silent because there is nothing more to say, that is the beginning. If you are left alone, not in isolation, but in silence, that is the beginning. The soul does not like show. It is born in silence. To be born again, the soul needs to truly die somewhere. We love coziness, control, clear plans, but it doesn't work that way with the soul. Comfort does not rebirth. It preserves the status quo. All points of internal breaking occur at the edge. By the hospital bed, in someone else's cemetery, in absolute loneliness, at the moment when what you relied on collapses. This is no coincidence. Rebirth requires you to let go of fixation on the old. When you lie in a ward where everything is sterile and uncomfortable, and you have no clothes, hairstyle, or signal, only you remain. Without decorations, without a role, without me in the eyes of others, and suddenly you see that most of life is a mask, and underneath, no one. Is it frightening? Yes, but it is from this point that recovery begins, when there is nothing left to hide behind. Standing by the grave is not about death, it's about choice. You look to the end, and you can ask yourself the main question: if I die tomorrow, what did I live for today? With likes? With the illusion that everything is still ahead? Or with honest living your life? A grave is a point of reset. You can't take diplomas, opinions, avatars with you. Only what you've done with yourself will remain. We are afraid of being alone, but it is precisely in solitude that the soul begins to stir. When there's no one to be someone with, when there's no one to impress, when there is only silence and you, and suddenly a voice rises from within, quiet, unfamiliar, but yours. You drowned it out with noise, and it has been waiting all this time. Now, listen. Rebirth is impossible without internal acknowledgement. Sometimes just one, but spoken aloud, is enough to start movement. I'm tired of being a stranger to myself. I no longer believe in it. I feel, I'm afraid, I want to be alive. These are not beautiful phrases, they are switches inside the soul, as if someone turned on the light, and for the first time in a long time, you saw that the room is dusty, but you are alive. When you lose intimacy, especially if you caused the destruction yourself, it's a chance not only to suffer, but to understand who you are without the other. The pain is not in the loss. The pain is in seeing how much of yourself you hid in the relationship. And if you are capable of taking responsibility, not only for your feelings, but for your choices, then you haven't just gone through a breakup, you have been reborn through it. Sometimes all the soul needs is to be heard. Write yourself a letter, without filters, without style. Without, I need to be strong. Write as if you are 12 and you want to understand why adult you is so afraid to be alive. Sometimes it is in this letter that the return begins. Rebirth spaces are not places, they are states. It doesn't matter where you are. What matters is whether you can stop. Rebirth begins where protection ends. Reincarnation doesn't necessarily mean becoming better. The soul is not just a restart, it is responsibility. Rebirth is not a guarantee of renewal. You can shed your skin and become even more tough, cold, and closed off. You can emerge from pain and start to seek revenge. You can say, I have become different, but in reality, it's just sealing vulnerability behind a mask of strength. True rebirth is not replacing weakness with strength. It's the ability to remain soft despite the pain. You can leave toxic relationships. You can go away, walk out, cut ties, and it can be the right thing to do. But if you haven't figured out why you ended up in them, in the next story, you'll find yourself in the same place, only with a different face opposite you. Freedom without self-understanding is just running. Running is not rebirth. It's simply a change of scenery. Many take reincarnation to mean that they've become hardened. Like, I no longer trust, I don't love, I don't get attached. But the soul doesn't grow from armor. It grows from the honest choice to be open, even if it hurts again. Maturity is not, I know how to protect myself, but I know what I risk, and still choose closeness, honesty, contact. You do not choose pain, but you choose what to do with it. You can blame, you can shut down, or you can take responsibility, not for what happened, but for who you became afterward. True rebirth doesn't start with, I was broken. It starts with, I am gathering myself and choosing what to be next. There are false forms of the new self. I no longer believe in anything. I am afraid of losing again. I am now a cynic. I haven't coped with loss. I have become strong. I have stopped feeling, this is not rebirth. It is a survival infection. The true new me does not shut itself off from the world. It has learned to be in it differently, without self-destruction. You are not afraid of pain, but you do not reach for it. You simply know how to be in it, without tragedy. You do not save others, but you do not shut yourself off either. You have boundaries, both for your heart and your empathy. You live with an open end. You do not wait for guarantees, but you act with faith in the process. You have become softer, not weaker, but softer. Softness is a sign of strength, not vulnerability. You do not cling to an image of yourself. Every day, you are ready to die as the old and be reborn slightly more honest. Ethics of rebirth is a path back to oneself that never ends, because the soul is not an object, it is a process. You're the same, but as if you're truly alive for the first time. You haven't become someone else. You don't look different. You don't speak differently. But inside you, a different scale of silence. You no longer prove yourself. You don't save. You don't tear yourself between who I should be and who they want me to be. You just are, and that's enough. It's not ideology, not image, but something deeper. You know that you have the right to feelings. You know that you're not perfect, and that doesn't prevent you from being alive. You know that everything can fall apart again, but there is something in you that cannot be destroyed. This is the soul, not the one that is given, but the one you have built from the fragments. Words have become shorter, elections more precise. You no longer seek meaning. You live in it. You are not afraid of loneliness because you are no longer alone. You are with yourself. You are not afraid of pain because you know how to be in it without self-destruction. You are not afraid to be honest because you have nothing left to lose except lies. This is not enlightenment, not liberation. This is a return to simplicity. There is pain, you acknowledge it. There is love, you express it. There is fear, you stay. You are not playing the person, you become him. It doesn't make you a hero, it makes you alive. No loud claims, no new masks, no epic covers. Simply, a point appears inside, around which a new world begins to gather. And here you stand, at the border between yesterday and tomorrow. The old I is buried. The new one requires no name. It simply lives. You haven't become better. You've become closer to yourself. You're no longer playing. You are breathing. And this is the beginning, not the end of the journey, but an introduction to a life you do not betray. You were reborn not to be happy, but to be real. And that is much more important.